This is Sean from Sean's Model Builds, and I thought it important to show how I started. Got the TOS Enterprise and restored it into this by all hand painting. So now watch the full video to see how it started. So I got this model from a friend of mine in September of 17. Traded me for DVDs. I realized it needed repainting, so I started with the bridge dome and the nacelle struts. And then I realized that I should put some white windows on the hull. So that's what I went for next. Ignore the candy red deflector dish. And then I realized belatedly it only needed 3 windows on the front, not 4, but I'll get to that in a moment. And then I started the secondary hull painting. Now, if you're wondering why you're seeing pictures that you saw at the very beginning of my channel in 2018, versions 1 and 2, that's because the long one, version 3, was copyrighted because it had all the music and everything. I realized, here's the starboard side getting painted, you can't copyright my voice. And this is a picture of the ship with the saucer still in its original dark color, of course, and still with the 4 lights in front. But what I tried to do is take the pictures at an angle so that it looked like it was peeling in and out of planetary orbit. And you see by now the dish was gold. And then I started taking some pictures of the ship on the top and on the back. You see how they didn't have pilot parts, but they gave it second or first pilot markings. I went over them with marker and everything. And it took me a lot of time. But that was a good hull color. Royal light gray was the spray paint, but steel gray was the Folkart bottle color. Remember, at this time, I'd never done any model painting in 25 years. And let's be honest, my dad and I didn't even paint the old 537 Enterprise that we did assemble. So this is my first model painting ever. By hand, of course, because I had no idea how to spray paint yet. That didn't come until a couple months later. And you can see the entire port side is done with the white windows, which do stand out against the paint because that's a light gray, not a dark. I tried to use all the pictures of the filming model of the TOS Enterprise. Because I didn't have a stand yet, I had to take the picture tilted to get it to work. And then I started on the bottom hull, and you can see how the paint is going bit by bit. I tried to go around the existing markings. So I had to use, well, you can see the original colored saucer with the properly colored secondary star drive hull. I tried to go around the markings that originally existed so that by the time I was done, that's what it looked like. And I put it down on a paper towel just on my kitchen table, which served as an impromptu model building desk the whole time I was at Cold Lake. And you can see different angles and everything and how detailed some of the white windows are. But you can also see all the brush strokes and everything. Still haven't got it down to just the 3 windows in front, but that'll come in time. Entire saucer's done. Don't worry, this is just the first coat. And you can see how the registry number is all out of sorts and everything. I mean, I brought this model into work, and it was someone there that suggested I find new decals, and that's how I discovered the Federation Models website that sold decals for all the scales of starships. So the first half of 2018 was my model building education, and I finally realized without a stand I can use my constructs and build a cradle for the ship so it's actually upright, almost like a dry dock of sorts. And you can see it there in my kitchen and on the table and the light in the background and everything. So there it is from the front, but again, with the light in the background it's hard to see the details, but at least the ship was upright now. And there it is from the back. Now, it's hard to tell from that angle if I actually got the gray on the back of the knobs yet. And that was one of the best pictures of the Cold Lake kitchen, actually. Here it is heading away from you from the top. That was Grandpa's cedar chest I put the model on. Only when it was dry, mind you. And there's the, see, it's a very blue-gray in some of the pictures. And there it is in its cradle again. So this is when I really started doing cradle pictures of the ship, so that it was upright. There's a good view from on top, you see. And there, the next one should be a forward angle view, what I call the Star Trek V space dock view. Here's a close-up of the side when I started giving it the silver anniversary paint, because it had been 25 years since I did my first model work. So I gradually went over the entire ship with the silver anniversary paint, which helped smooth down the hull, really, and got rid of the brush strokes, because I tried to go with the circling of the hull so that you could hardly see the brush strokes, trying to still paint around the existing parts of the model, of course. Of course, I ended up exaggerating some of the decal markings with paint, but that's just the beginning. And as you can see, the side. Now, I know that pennant is all out of sorts, and that's part of the reason why I decided to get new decals and see if I could do a proper decaling job of the video. You'll see. I mean, the model. You'll see that in the later pictures. So there's the whole top of the ship done. And there's the entire bottom of the ship done. And of course, I had to get all the different sides of the ship. Oh, well, maybe the bottom is still the normal hull color. Yes, you're right, it's not reflecting like the other one. This is showing the contrast between the Folkart light medium steel secondary hull and the silver anniversary saucer section, which is exemplified here. And yes, you can still see brush strokes at that angle, but you can see the paints I use in the background. And then I started going over the rest of the secondary hull with the silver anniversary paint, and you can see the results of that here. And I even tried to put in those markings near the back impulse hatch cover. It wasn't until later that I realized those things had been rotated accidentally 90 degrees from what their proper orientation is supposed to be. But as I applied the new decals, that came up a bit. Now you see the silver on the domes, but they're much shinier than the rest of the hull, which is kind of a great relief. But then again, they're not over a gray base. They were over a light blue base. Maybe that's what made the difference. But at least the nacelles are on straight and true. I mean, this model came to me already assembled. There's a good view of the ship. Somewhat enhanced, probably for thumbnail purposes. There it is heading towards you in planetary orbit. So, of course, what I did is once I had the silver coating on everything, I retook all the shots that had been taken with the medium light steel with the shiny metal color instead. You can really see that one, how the registry number's off center. See, now I'm starting to get the front windows down to just 3. It's still kind of messy, I grant you, but this is not the final coat, at least on the top saucer. And it'll take some time to show you why. Now you see the progress on the side of the secondary hull as I'm putting the steel on it. And of course I tried the blue light filter on the phone as well. But it looks better in the natural light, even if it is slightly... It's not as orange as it was in the dining room, is it? It's more of a neutral white light in the kitchen. So that's why I took it at all the different lighting schemes, so you can see the change in color. Like the next one shows it on the table, and the next angle is almost identical in the dining room. And look at how it's more of a yellowish white or orangish color scheme. And then back to the kitchen table again. You can see the laptop. HP. Okay, so that's what I used, eh? At least that's what I think it says. There's a close-up of the deflector dish. I did the silver spire. That's the old salad bowl deflector dish. Here's the other side. Don't worry, the 1000 scale is much more accurate. You saw that in model number 4. Because this is just the first of the videos that I will be narrating to replace the copyrighted videos with non-copyrighted narrated versions. Even up to the Titanic, even though it has over 1,000 views, it has a big yellow triangle for copyright, so that's no problem, because this kind of gives you a history of each model I built and how I started building them and how I refined the build as I went on and everything else. And yes, it's kind of strange. I am pretty well including every picture I ever took of this model in the approximate order I took them. You can see how I tried to scrawl a registry number in the middle of that stripe. Only one of them had a registry number in the middle of the stripe. The left one didn't. And of course you're showing the ship at a slightly different angle there. It's almost a 3/4 view in a way. Then you get into side views again and everything, so it was the best way to take the photo and still get the side profile view, like that one. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful shot there. And then here it is, slightly turning away from you from the looks of it, kind of like you'd see it peeling out of planetary orbit. Now that one, it doesn't look like it has silver anniversary at all. It looks like the normal color, kind of getting flatter. And you see the 3 lights prominently in the front. So that's taken on the cedar chest, and then you have more profile pictures taken on the kitchen table. You can see the middle board seams there across the front and back of the saucer. Yeah, I mean, this video is going to be 22 minutes long, but you're soon going to get into the 2019 and 2020 pictures, and they showed how I displayed the ship once I put the proper decals in place. Now, a couple more pictures, and I'm going to start showing you how I got the decals on. Or at least tried to. But first, I decided that I would paint over with the hull color the old registry number. Because if you're going to apply new decals, you have to color over the inaccurate details. So this is the last picture of the ship, showing how it looks with the paint exaggerated details. Here's the first picture when I started painting over everything, except the white hatch covers, of course. Again, using silver anniversary to do it. At least I think that is it. Maybe I put another base coat of the steel gray over top. I think I did. See the shininess? I think I did. Now I left the 1701 because it looked accurate. That was a decal. The NCC was hand-printed letters trying to approximate the decal, which is why it didn't work so well and had to be replaced. And of course, you see the port and starboard navigation lights I added there. That's a pretty good smooth hull. You can see the red nacelles, which I custom mixed. There's the first decal. There's the approximate dry placement of the decal. And then, for some reason, the hull had a little bit of a gouge in it, so I had to try and fill it in with paint. So there you go. There's the hull, all ready for the decal to be applied. There's the decal applied. But unfortunately, you see that below the 1701? That's where the paint had a valley in it. And no matter what I did, I wasn't able to get that out. So that necessitated a second application of the decal. But in the meantime, at least you got some views of the ship. And the registry number's on correctly. The USS Enterprise is centered. There are some front views of the shot where you cannot see the depression in the hull, so that's a good front view. And then, of course, it angles more and more as it gets closer, just like the ship would if the camera was slightly above it. So this is kind of showing the ship approaching you. And if those nacelle struts didn't look quite, the nacelle Bassard collectors didn't look quite red, it's true, it was a custom mix. A bit of rust, a bit of red. Then I started applying decals to the bottom of the secondary hull nacelle struts and the top. And then I went after the side pennants. You can see those there, going around the white windows, of course. And here's the starboard side pennant. Yeah, so it's getting there now. And the stripe along the top. Now remember, this was my first time applying decals in a quarter century as well. And remember, because I got this ship, all I had was the instruction guide on the new decals. Didn't have a guide myself. From the model, of course. And of course, you can see the impulse engines are painted red. Now there is the paint. Aha, I did do a gritty paint over surface for the nacelle stripes. I wondered about that. There's the new registry numbers. There's the triangular landing leg decals. Here's a close-up of the secondary hull decals put in place. And then there's a close-up of the saucer again from the side. I had to align them slightly. Now there, you see that? I started peeling it away and then trying to build it up with paint, and it just wouldn't work. But you see how straight and true the side decal is in place on the port nacelle. Here's the front of the ship where I basically just had to take everything off, recoat it in silver and try again after I soaked it in water and peeled off the old decals. Here's the new applied decal. There it is on the Constructs phone carrier. All ready, all set. And then the next pictures showing the nacelle stripes and everything. So of course what I did is I duplicated the pictures I took before decals with decals to show the new and completed ship. And you can see the red gleaming on the Bassard collector. So this, I hope I did a good enough job. It seems to work. It's hard to see the brush strokes, which was my intent. The rim of the saucer is a bit messed up, but it seems to be braced nicely on the Constructs phone carrier. The ship is approaching you again, just like it would. Don't mind that. That was the drop box warning. Here it is in its Constructs cradle again, from the side, from the back. That's a neat 3D perspective view. You saw that in Adam Savage's video of the TOS Enterprise filming model. Here's the port side. And of course I took it out of the Constructs cradle because I realized the Constructs cradle was impairing the view of everything. So I took it out so you could get a nice top side view and everything. You got to see the model when it's unobscured. There's the port view. Here's the underside, so you had to get views of the underside. And then I finally took it to a hobby shop, got it bored for a stand, borrowed the Enterprise E stand, because that's the second model I got, and realized it tips up, it tips back, but then you can put the rod right up the neck to the bottom of the saucer, and then you can start posing it at home. And that's precisely what I did. Now don't worry, this is not the final stand for the ship. This is just proof of concept, in a way, making sure that the ship can pose on the stand, that it can be level, see? And then the next view will show it from the front. See, there you go, front, underside. Front, pretty well profile, edge on. And then, of course, there, that's like a zoomed-in view of the restored picture that you saw at the very beginning of the video. Here's the aft view. Now, this is before I painted the silver chrome on the arrowhead part of the hull. So there's the port view. So what I did is I didn't know about Tamiya masking tape back then, so I just used sticky pads, covered up the gold, spray painted on the Krylon chrome, and in the next picture you see the results. I think I did pretty well. Nothing got on the gold anyway. And here it is on the shelf, which is where it rested for the rest of 2018 before I moved out of Cold Lake and went elsewhere. You can see the slight hallway in the background there with the bookshelves and everything. And of course, I experimented with this model on different angles, of course. And the next picture is a starboard side profile view. And then I finally found a polar light stand put it on the Polar Light stand at Cold Lake so that when I went to Montreal Comic Con in 2019, I was able to get William Shatner's autograph on this model. He signed it as Captain Kirk and said I did a good job. High praise from the captain of the Enterprise. And then at Hobby Junction Express in Montreal, they found a stand for it. All they had to do was shorten the stand, and then there's a display case. There's the advertisement from the Montreal Comic Con. There it is, a backside view, kind of like the reverse of Tomorrow's Yesterday. Here it is at the model contest. No, sorry, the Veterans Home event we went to in St. Anne de Bellevue. So there it is on the table with the other people's models. You can see my DeLorean on the left side. And the book showing the event at which I got it autographed. And then, of course, in 2021, when I moved to Chalk River, I put it on the movie car cabinet filled with unbuilt kits of movie cars. You can see it from the top. You saw it from the side in the first picture. And you can see it angled so that you can see the autograph. And then, of course, I moved it into the living room later so the model wasn't put at risk. It's on top of my VHS shelf. You can see the aerators in the background. See all that in Sean's toy room. And this was all the pictures I took at Chalk River before I moved to Deep River. So there's the final shot. Of Chalk River pointing towards my DVD cabinet. And then I move... Alright, that's the final one of Chalk River. You can see the couch in the background. So here it is on my display case in Deep River, in my new model room. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Here's a close-up of the Captain Kirk autograph, and we'll see you here next time. Bye-bye.